Welcome to Under the Microscope. Today we're here with Dr. Simon Liu, ARS Administrator. Dr. Liu previously served as Associate Administrator for ARS, as well as Director of the National Agricultural Library, the world's largest and most accessible research library specializing in agriculture. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Liu.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Reading your bio sketch, you had an interesting journey on your way to becoming ARS Administrator. You worked previously at the National Library of Medicine, and you also held leadership positions at the Departments of Justice and Treasury. But you also worked in the private sector, where you led space mission studies to support NASA. So I was curious, looking back, what was your favorite job?
In the past 38 years, I had more than 20 jobs in 5 federal departments and 4 universities. I love to teach, so as a result, I teach. I've been serving as an adjunct professor at 4 universities, including Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland, George Washington University, and University of Maryland University College. Some of my full-time job, they are federal employee, and one full-time job is serving as a contractor primarily for NASA. So overall, among those 20 plus job I had in the past, I would say I love each and every job I had in the past. So when you ask me what is my favorite job, it depends on when you ask me.
What first interested you in joining ARS, and why did you decide to stay?
Believe it or not, joining ARS, USDA is a part of my career planning. I'm a farm boy. I grew up in a farm family. My parents, they are all farmers. My brothers, they are farmers. Even though today my brothers still farmers. So as a farm boy, I need to do something for the ag industry. I need to come home to contribute to the ag industry. And really seriously, this is not for money per se, but for my passion, to give back to the ag industry. Now, why did I decide to stay? Well, I assume everybody have the same feeling. You will never leave your home, right? So home is the ultimate place to go. I need to do something meaningful, contribute to the ag industry, and directly and indirectly. At least for now, I would say that I would contribute to the ag industry directly. That is going to impact many people, not only within this country, but also around the world, which include my brothers.
What were you interested in as a child and teen?
So as a kid, my interest was to be a teacher, because I think a teacher is cool. Remember when we were in the elementary school, we listened everything what the teacher said. So being a teacher, tell people what to do, authoritative, I thought it was a very, very cool job. Especially after I get into the university, I changed my interest. I like to be a professor. As you know, the professor is a profession that people regard as an expert in a certain field. You command a lot of respect. So as a result, when I was in college, in undergrad, my interest is to become a professor. Once I become a professional, get into the job, in the job arena, my interest shifted. My first 10 years, my job here in this country was a private contractor. As a contractor, I support NASA, Goddard Space Flight Center. One project I did is the space station project. We do a lot of study. So I do study on the space station, the control center operation. So that was my job, first job in NASA. And then after that, I move on to the Earth observing system. And then my third project was there is working on the Landsat 7's mission. As you can see here, working under that environment, I can see serving the government. you have a lot of opportunity to explore. In this case, for NASA, it's explore the space, doing a lot of exciting things, and that have impact to many people in the field, in the scientific field for many years to come. So as I get into the profession, my interest shifted. I want to be a government employee. As soon as I became eligible to serve in the federal government, become a U.S. citizen, I applied for the federal job. So my interest shifted when I become an adult, a professional. I focused on my service to the government. I do think within the government, in this environment, you have many, many opportunities, not only to serve the country, but also impact a lot of people.
Thanks, Dr. Liu. Share with us your journey into the STEM fields. And as you broke into these STEM fields, what was the biggest hurdle you faced?
Well, as you know, STEM field represent four major area. Each area is wide and broad. The science side, the technology side, the engineering side, and the math. I start in a reverse order. My undergrad was math. Math was my favorite subject when I was in elementary school, when I was in the middle school or high school. So very naturally, I studied math. At the time, my dream was, my interest was to become a math teacher. So I studied math. I studied math back in undergrad, back in Taiwan. And then I came to this country. I switched the field because I see a lot of things going on, the high-tech industry, a lot of things going on. I switched to the field. The field I switched to science. The science, especially information science, the computer science, and then also biological science. Now, moving on to engineering. Engineering itself also very, very attractive to me. When I work for NASA at that time, I do some part of the engineering because you need to engaging within sterilize their hardware engineering, the software engineering. So my primary education was I went to George Washington University to study computer engineering, the hardware engineering, everything combined together at technology. So to me, in the STEM field, you need to know how to manage technology. There are so many different combinations of technology. So as a result, I went to Carnegie Mellon University to study my technology management, and also went to Cornell University to study software technology management. Those are my, I would say, my journey, my education into the STEM field. As a matter of fact, you can see that I touch each and every one of STEM, from the science perspective, from the technology perspective, from engineering perspective, from mathematics perspective.
You mentioned that math was actually your first one. So I assume you weren't one of those students who asked your teacher, well, am I going to use math ever again? Or am I going to use algebra ever again in my career?
As a matter of fact, yes, indeed. I have been asked that kind of question. But let me tell you this. Among all the fields I study in 13 different fields. Every field change. Mathematics is it's a linchpin to each and every field. It's a linchpin, no doubt. And mathematical theory, they don't change. They're constant. They're the theory. So I love math. And as a matter of fact, if you look at the fields I study, the kind of job I have in the past 20 plus jobs, I would say this. In each and every job, I use math as a part of my thinking, my logic, and my operation. So it is universal.
Okay, and let's talk about, when you first broke into the STEM fields, what was the biggest hurdle you faced?
The biggest hurdle for me is this, especially in the STEM field. STEM field itself is keep changing. They are changing rapidly. So the main hurdle is to keep up to the latest. in the STEM field. You need to learn every day. If you don't learn, you will fall behind, no doubt. I enjoy learning how we launch a satellite to the space. I enjoy how we control the satellite. I enjoy how we invent the vaccine for African swine fever. I enjoy how we deal with different kind of crop diseases. I enjoy how we can interpret all the massive amount of data from the genomic side and help us to advance our breeding or help us to advance our medicine. But like I said, the major hurdle is that I don't have enough time to learn each and every bit. And then if I let this one go once in a while, I become obsolete. That is a part of the reason that I commit myself to serve as the adjunct professor in the university. Because if you like to be a professor, speak in front of the student, they are going to ask you a whole lot of questions. For me, it really is a way for me to keep up myself, to learn new stuff, push myself to learn every day whenever I can.
Kind of basing that, let's talk about the challenges. So what challenges did you have to come when you were trying to move forward in your career?
As an immigrant, the major challenge is your communication, the spoken English, your writing skill, and the culture. Let me start with the culture. In Taiwan, when I grew up, we were taught that everybody have to be humble. We need to learn to be humble, not to show off. So when I came to this country, doesn't matter in the school or in the job, I continue that kind of tradition, humble, not to show off, avoid the spotlight. And obviously, in order to change that, it requires a lot of energy and effort to overcome those kind of culture, the inheritance culture you have. Now let's talk about the spoken English. Well, as not a native English speaker, you'll hear the accents. Sometimes we don't speak that well, especially when I came to this country. Spoken English was a major challenge. I even have trouble to listen. So I remember my first year in the university, in Indiana University, I always sitting in the front row. I always have a recorder with me. So I record everything that the professor taught. And then I go home, listen once, twice, 3 times, or 4 times, and 5 times, try to make sense out of it. So spoken English was a challenge. So at the beginning of my career here, can you believe that I registered in the high school conversation classes? I went to a local high school to learn English as a second language in the conversation classes. And as I mentioned to you that I want to teach, to be a professor. I mentioned to you have been teaching in 4 different universities. In order to teach, you need to prepare a great deal. And then also give me the opportunity to practice my spoken English. And that has been carried out for 20+ years. Now, writing skill. Writing skill is also a great challenge to me. As a scientist, we spend our time, our effort to focus on learning new science rather than writing skill. But in order to improve my writing skill, the same thing, I enroll in high school writing skill classes, either during the nighttime or during the weekend. And then after I getting better, I began to serve as the magazine or journals, start with the associate editor. You read a lot of papers. And that really taught me how to write scientific articles and so on. I served for the past 30+ years as an editor for 4 different magazines and journals. I would say, a lot of effort to overcome those challenges in order to move forward within my career.
Let's talk about your mentors. So as you were going through your career and moving further, who were your main mentors that you remember, and what advice did they give you?
I have many mentors. They are all my bosses, all my colleagues in the past 30 plus years. They are all my mentors. I learned a great deal from each and every one of them. I learned from their strength, their weaknesses, and I try to learn their lessons and avoid the same mistake. But if you say, hey, what is your main one? That was my father. My father was a farmer. He never received 1 day of formal education, never. He had never had a chance to go to any school at all, but he managed to learn himself. Can you imagine that? So this is my father told me. He said, well, education and learning is a gift to all of us. When I was a kid, education and learning is not a right. It's not everybody can get it. It's a gift. Don't waste it. And I keep that in mind for the rest of my life. So as a result, that's one of the major driver for me. I need to learn every day.
And I think that kind of works into our next question. I know that one of your priorities as ARS Administrator is connecting with our youth and encouraging them to get into STEM fields like agricultural science. So why is this so important to you?
Well, as ARS Administrator, when I look at our employee profile, I would say our workforce are aging. If you look at the agency right now, the agency roughly have about 8,000 people. Among them, more than 1,000 are eligible to retire. So as a result, agency, we need to have new blood. New blood is the only way to go to maintain not only the continuity, but also explore the future opportunity for this agency. So ARS, we need to have talents in all STEM fields. We need a biologist. We need to the people with the background in chemistry, in soil science, in nutrition, many areas. So we need to have STEM, the science people join us, the young generation. From the technology perspective, ARS, we need to have information technology, IT, computer science, information science, satellite remote sensing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, you name it. A lot of new technology we need to have in order to advance our research, in order to speed up our scientific discovery. The same thing in the engineering field. We need to have ag engineer. We need to have hydraulic engineer. We need to have robotic engineer help us to invent all kind of machinery to do harvesting or to do operation. We need to have environmental engineer. We need to have a lab engineer, facility engineer, you name it. From the math perspective, I don't know if you realize that ARS, we need to have people with expertise in statistics, in simulation and modeling, in operation research and optimization, in big data analytics. Those belong to math field. So overall, you can see that ARS, we need talent in all STEM fields, students. Today's agriculture is a cool, high-tech industry. And it has a lot, very, very promising future. And all the future endeavor, all the next frontier in ag research or ag operation or the ag supply chain, we need to have STEM people get involved from the next generation. Our future is promising, and the future depends on our next generation workforce. So come join us.
That's a good plug for ARS, I have to admit. So, speaking of the workforce initiatives, one that I know that is dear to you is the Cultivating the Next Generation of Diverse Food and Agricultural Professionals program. So this initiative is within USDA, and it looks to strengthen our workforce through enhanced educational support, as well as providing experience and exposure to early career opportunities. So tell me about ARS's role in this endeavor.
As I mentioned to you that so many people, they are eligible for retirement. So the next generation workforce right now at this time is one of our top priority. Now, in order to outreach to our people, especially diverse people from different area, different region, from different race or genders, and so on and so forth, we reach out. We do a lot of outreach activity. So just in case you have the chance, join our outreach activity. Let me give you some example. ARS, we outreach to high schools. Through our Three Sister project, we outreach to high school students. We are building one Three Sister high school collaborator at each and every one of our 5 areas, and also National Library. We outreach to university students, 1862, 1890, or 1994 universities. Right now, ARS, we have collaboration with way over 100 universities around the country. We also outreach to underserved population or community through many, many activities. We provide information and knowledge sharing event. Just last year alone, ARS, we touch more than 100,000 students around the country. More than 100,000 through all kind of activity. We provide internship opportunity to work within our lab, in our office. Last year alone, ARS, we provide more than 400 internship opportunity. Those are the paid internship. We also provide a national scholar opportunity, especially geared for 1890 students. So outreach to the student, to the future next generation workforce is our priority. We will continue to do so. If you have a better idea in order to how to expand those kind of outreach to provide experience and exposure to our students, please let me know. We love to continue to expand our effort, continue to build a bridge for the next generation workforce.
So what challenges do you see STEM students facing today, and then how can they overcome them?
Well, again, STEM student, as it's kind of linked to my early question here, is that my early answer is that the STEM field is changing very fast. The changing technology, the changing method, changing concept, changing skill set. Change is the only constant in the STEM field. So the change is so fast, and sometimes the change is so big. So keep learning. Keep learning is the best way to deal with those challenges, deal with those changes, and to overcome all those issues.
The last question is, what advice do you have for STEM students?
My advice will be simple. 3 P. The first P is planning. Plan your career. The second P is to prepare. The third P is to perform. So let me elaborate a little bit. The 3P approach, I adopt this approach myself when I was young. I plan my career. Every time when I plan, sometimes it gets changed, no doubt. So my lessons learned is that you need to plan your career, especially the STEM student. Plan your career. Keep in mind, be flexible to change because your interest, your focus might change over time. Might be changed because of new technology. Might be changed because of new environment. So be flexible and be bold. The second P is really prepare. Well, you cannot sitting there planning, I like to be this, I like to do this without any preparation. Preparation is very, very important. You need to prepare to sharpen your mindset, to expand your knowledge, to better your skill. This is critical, prepare. Throughout my career, you see, the earlier that we discussed about my training, I went to the high school to do all kinds of stuff. I try to prepare myself, and I benefit from this approach. I'm sure that this will benefit. Not everybody apply, but in principle, should be beneficial to each and every one of us. And the third one is you need to perform. You need to perform to shine on your job. You prepare, you plan, you prepare. Once you get a job, you don't perform, you don't produce. Come on. You have no chance to shine, no chance to advance. So you need to perform, you need to be productive, to shine, to help not only yourself, not only shine yourself, but also help your colleague, to help your colleagues. And I would say it will go a long, long way with the 3P approach.
Thank you very much, Dr. Liu. Thanks for joining us on Under the Microscope.